Very special occasion, I would like to thank you, Executive Director Beasley, and your colleagues for joining me from the World Food Programme's headquarters in Rome. I also offer my warmest congratulations to the World Food Programme on receiving the Nobel Peace Prize 2020. In his latest will, Alfred Nobel stated that he wanted to establish 5 prizes as awards to those who had conferred the greatest benefit on humankind in the fields of science, literature, and peace. Today, Nobel Prizes in all the disciplines referred to in Nobel's will are being celebrated in Stockholm and Oslo, respectively. Since 1901, the Nobel Peace Prize has been presented in Oslo on the 10th of December, the anniversary of Alfred Nobel's death. It is a grand event where we gather in the Oslo City Hall. In a normal year, the City Hall would have been filled to capacity, and you would have been greeted by the Norwegian royal family, the President of Parliament, the Prime Minister, and other officials of Norway. Equally important, you would have been hailed enthusiastically by representatives of civil society. But due to the coronavirus pandemic, it was not possible to host you in Oslo today. Instead, I am speaking to you from the Norwegian Nobel Institute, and you are in the WFP headquarters in Rome. We are together, despite the distance forced upon us by the pandemic. Executive Director David Beasley, staff members in Rome and all over the world. As announced, on the 9th of October, the Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided to award the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize to the World Food Programme for its efforts to combat hunger, for its contribution to bettering conditions for peace in conflict-affected areas, and for acting as a driving force in efforts to prevent the use of hunger as a weapon of war and conflict. We also believe that the World Food Programme, a United Nations humanitarian agency with global responsibility, represents exactly the kind of international cooperation and commitment that the world is in dire need of today. Under normal circumstances, I would have presented the award to you personally in the City Hall. At a later point, we hope next year, we will be honoured to welcome you to Oslo so that you may deliver the Nobel Lecture on behalf of the WFP. We will then have the opportunity to celebrate this year's Peace Prize in the proper, customary way. Since you cannot be here today, your Nobel Prize, medal and diploma have been brought to Rome instead. On behalf of the Norwegian Nobel Committee, they will now be presented to you by Lisa Pelletti-Clark, co-president of the International Peace Bureau, which was the Nobel Peace Prize laureate 1910.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On behalf of the Norwegian Nobel Committee, it is my great honour to present the Nobel Peace Prize for 2020 to the World Food Programme, represented here by Executive Director David Beasley. Mr. Beasley, let me convey to you my warmest congratulations and ask you to come forward to receive the Nobel Medal and Diploma on behalf of the World Food Programme.
Thank you. My goodness. It's quite something. Wow. Waking up this morning in this beautiful city here in Rome, it's hard to imagine that in about 400 AD, this city experienced a massive famine. It ended up killing almost 90% of its population. Now, students of history associate something else with that ancient date, the beginning of the fall of the Roman Empire. Now, did the famine cause the fall, or did the fall cause the famine? I think the answer is yes, both. Now, waking up in this wealthy, modern, technologically advanced world, it's hard to imagine us going through a famine like that. But my tragic duty today is to tell you famine is at humanity's doorstep for millions and millions of people on earth. Failure to prevent famine in our day will destroy so many lives and cause the fall of much we hold dear. On behalf of the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, our board, our sister agencies, our incredible partners and donors, and on behalf of 19,000 peacemakers at the World Food Program, including those who came before us and especially those who died in the line of duty and their families who carry on, and on behalf of the 100 million people we serve, to the Norwegian Nobel Committee, thank you for this great honor. Also, thank you for acknowledging our work of using food to combat hunger, to mitigate against destabilization of nations, to prevent mass migration, to end conflict, and to create stability and peace. We believe food is the pathway to peace. I wish today that I could speak of how working together we can end world hunger for all the 690 million people who go to bed hungry every night, but today we have a crisis at hand. This Nobel Peace Prize is more than a thank you. It is a call to action. Because of so many wars, climate change, the widespread use of hunger as a political and military weapon, and a global health pandemic that makes all of that exponentially worse, 270 million people are marching toward starvation. Failure to address their needs will cause a hunger pandemic which will dwarf the impact of COVID. And if that's not bad enough, out of that 270 million, 30 million depend on us 100% for their survival. How will humanity respond Let me tell you why what we do at the World Food Program works. First, food is sacred. Anyone who has sat down to a Thanksgiving or a holiday meal or taken communion, attended a Seder, fasted for Ramadan, or made a food offering at a Buddhist temple knows that. And every human, whether they're people of faith or not, knows the power of food, and not only to sustain us, but bring us together in our common humanity. Here's the second reason the World Food Program works. Because what the 19,000 of us are doing is an act of love. Dr. King, Nobel laureate in 1964, said, "Love is the most durable power in the world." And like Dr. King, from a very young age, I learned this teaching from Jesus of Nazareth as he taught from the Torah, love your neighbor as yourself. I've come to understand that a better translation of what Jesus actually said is, love your neighbor as your equal. Think for a moment what that really means. Imagine every woman, man, girl, and boy we share this planet with is our equal. And if we would just love them as such. Imagine what that would do to war, to conflict, to racism, to division, and to discrimination of every kind. What warms my heart is this: 100 million of my equals, my neighbors, received food from the World Food Program this past year, and we averted famine. But what tears me up inside is this: this coming year, millions and millions and millions of my equals, my neighbors, your neighbors, are marching to the brink of starvation. We stand at what may be the most ironic moment in modern history. On the one hand, after a century of massive strides in eliminating extreme poverty, today those 200 million of our neighbors are on the brink of starvation. That's more than the entire population of Western Europe. On the other hand, there's $400 trillion of wealth in our world today. Even at the height of the COVID pandemic, in just 90 days, an additional $2 trillion of wealth was created. And we only need $5 billion to save 30 million lives from famine. What am I missing here? A lot of my friends and leaders around the world have said to me, "You've got the greatest job in the world, saving the lives of millions of people." Well, here's what I tell them. I don't go to bed at night thinking about the children we saved. I go to bed weeping over the children we could not save. And when we don't have enough money, nor the access we need, we have to decide which children eat and which children do not eat, which children live, which children die. How would you like that job? Please, don't ask us to choose who lives and who dies. In the spirit of Alfred Nobel, as inscribed on this medal, peace and brotherhood, let's feed them all. Food is the pathway to peace. The World Food Program. Now that's something else. Wow. Please, thank you.
Are we off?
Well, Lisa, it's great to be with you. Thank
Are
you.
we off or not?